Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we are on the sixth chapter of this book, Krsna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. And in the fifth chapter, we have seen how Srila Prabhupada says that all our lives, we are just simply oscillating between bhoga and tyaga. Bhoga means to enjoy, tyaga means to give up. So we should not be on this teeter-tottering platform where we want to always enjoy this world, bhoga, romanticize this world, or demonize this world, neglect everything. But a devotee, understanding that everything is ultimately the energy of the Lord, wants to utilize whatever we see, whatever we have in the service of the Lord, because that is the perfection of it. Then Prabhupada also mentions towards the end of the last chapter how we should keep our faith or devotion pure. We should not desire for bhoga, right? Bhukti, mukti, or siddhi. Try to enjoy this world, try to escape from this world, mukti, or just try to, get some powers or perfections in this world. When we pray, we should have a desire that we are only doing it for Krishna's pleasure, nothing for our own. So in this way, we can keep ourselves steady in Krishna consciousness. Now let us see what the sixth chapter is going to teach us. Sixth chapter is called Transcending Designations and Problems. Krishna consciousness is easily achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, but only some are fortunate enough to have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and his disciplic succession. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, mercy is there very easily, but very few are actually fortunate to get it. How? Bhagavad Gita explains. According to Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvatah. Out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection, and those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So how rare is actually understanding God? Huh? You can have people who are self-realized, but very few among self-realized people are actually God-realized. God realization is not possible for animals or persons who are almost animals, right? Animalistic. Or for people, animals in the shape of human beings, animal-like. So three kinds of people, Prabhupada saying. Animals themselves, animalistic people, and animal-like people. So in this world, we see, unfortunately, as Kali Yuga is progressing, we see people behaving like demons, like animals, killing each other, father killing wife, killing children, mothers killing children, children killing parent, and, suicides and massacres and cannibalism. So all these things are going on because people are behaving like animals. Contemporary civilization is, by and large, an assembly of animals. Because as stated before, it operates on the basis of animal propensities. So why here it's mentioned that people are animal-like, animalistic, and animals? Because they just act on animal propensities, which we have seen before. These birds and beasts arise early in the morning and busy themselves trying to find food and sex and trying to defend themselves. At night, they look for shelter, and in the morning, they fly to a tree to find nuts and fruits. So the basic animal propensities, as we have seen before in the verse from Mahabharata, ahara, nidra, bhayam, maitunam. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are four base values or characters of animals and humans. Similarly, in New York City, great hordes of people travel from one island to another by ferry boat or wait for subways in order to go to office for the purpose of finding food. So proper drawing a contrast. Animals, the first thing they get up is fly out, get food, come back. So humans, the first thing we get up is fly out, right, to subways and ferries and get food and money earned to come back. How is this an advancement over animal life? Although the ferry and subway are always crowded and many people have to travel 40 or 50 miles, that's about 65 kilometers to 80 kilometers, for bread, for food, the birds are free to fly from one tree to another. So although we are doing what animals are doing, but it seems like animals do it better than us. Right? Real civilization is not concerned simply with a man's animal needs, but with enabling man to understand his relationship with God, the Supreme Father. This is what civilization is. Civilized person does not mean just simply looking after food, shelter, and this and that. Civilization actually means one's understanding with the Supreme. One may learn about his relationship with God by any process. through Christianity, through Vedic literatures, through the Quran. But in any case, it must be learned. The purpose of this Krishna conscious movement is not to make Christians into Hindus or Hindus into Christians, but to inform everyone that the duty of a human being is to understand his relationship with God. So here, many religions, they like to convert and labelize and rubber stamp. They are not so much bothered about the people who they convert, whether they are good practitioners or not. We sometimes meet people who convert. We ask them, do you know your books? Do you know your religion? Do you know the history? And many of them do not know anything. They've just been rubber stamped so-and-so religion. So those who are converting, they are more concerned with numbers. They're not concerned with quality. People convert, that's enough. They are not practicing their old religion, that's enough. But Krishna consciousness is not bothered about rubber stamping people. For us, it is quality over quantity, right? The practitioner should actually come to understand the stage where they love God. One must learn this, otherwise he is simply wasting his time by engaging in animalistic propensities. We must all try to love Krishna or God. If one has a process, he should practice it. So Prabhupada is very open-minded. If you have something which you feel is good enough to understand God and love God, practice it. Or he can come here and learn this process. You don't have, you want to know, come to us, we'll teach you. One should not begrudge, that means should not be angry at or feel frustrated. The selection of one process over the other. Right? So one should not be so stereotyped or rigid to think that, no, this is the only way, there's no other way. So Prabhupada quotes a verse from Niti Shastra, Chanakya Pandit. He says, Viṣād api amṛtaṁ grāhyam, amedhyād api kāñcanam, nīcād api uttamāṁ, vidyāṁ, strī-ratnaṁ, duṣkulād api. So here Chanakya Pandit says that one must catch what is right from any source. That is the essence of this. If there is a glass of poison with some nectar in it, Viṣād api amṛtaṁ. Right? If you have Visham and you have amṛtaṁ, if you have a glass of poison and you have some nectar, take the nectar, leave out the poison. In the same way, if one finds gold in a filthy place, amedhyād api kāñcanam, what do? You should take it, even though it's in a dirty place, because it's gold. Similarly, although according to Vedic system, the education must be given instruction by intellectual person like a Brahmana, if someone lower on the social scale, so-called, right, has learned the truth, one should accept him as a teacher and learn from him. nīcād api uttamāṁ vidyāṁ. So if someone is so-called from a lower social strata, still, if he has so high knowledge, one should learn from him. And the last Prabhupada does not translate, strī-ratnaṁ duṣkulād api. If a lady is of impeccable character, very nice personality lady, even if she is born in a bad family, one should accept her. This is specifically for those who get married and they want to see the caste or family background. But if the lady is of a good character, good quality, then although whatever the family background is, one should accept her. Okay. Similarly, if one is serious about understanding God, he should not think, I am Christian, I am Hindu, I am Muslim. If one is serious about understanding love of God, he should consider which process is practical, which works. One should not think, why should I follow Hindu or Vedic scriptures? So big question here, which many people ask, that this Krishna consciousness seems Hindu, right? Prabhupada seems Bengali. No, Krishna is not a Hindu god, and it's not some Bengali movement, right? So the purpose of following the Vedas is to develop love of God. That is the essence. We're not here to make Hindus or make Bengalis. So Prabhupada gives a very powerful answer to this, all right? When students come to America for higher education, they do not consider the fact that the teachers may be American, German, or other nationalities. You don't think that I'm Indian. Why should I learn from American? I'm Indian. Why am I hearing from a German? This knowledge is German. No, we don't think like that. When we find something better, something higher, we accept it. If one wants a higher education, he simply comes and take it. Similarly, there's an effective process for understanding and approaching God, like this Krishna conscious process. One should take it. So when one sees Krishna consciousness, this process is ISKCON, one should not think that this is an Indian movement, Bengali movement, or whatever movement. It's like an institute, a university. If you want higher knowledge, you come to this, accept it, move on. Not all, But those who are intelligent and fortunate take to this process of devotional service. Kevalaya bhaktya. Kevalaya bhakta means pure devotional service. And their only desire is to serve Krishna, please Krishna. From early morning till late at night, the devotees are engaged in Krishna service. This is called Kevalaya. Pure. Kevala means only, pure. For them, there is no other business. Everything we do, everything we say, everything we endeavor in is just to please Krishna. This process is recommended for all and is the perfection of all religious processes. Savai pumsan paro dharma yato bhaktir adokshate. In Sanskrit, there are two words. So this verse is basically meaning for all people, savai pumsan, for all humans, the para dharma, the topmost practice of spirituality is yataha bhaktir adokshate, performing bhakti onto adokshada. Adokshada is the name of Krishna, who's beyond the sense perception. In Sanskrit, there are two words, para and apara, which describe the superior, transcendental, and the inferior, material approaches to religion. In the execution of material dharma or religion, performed for material gain, people generally go to a church or a temple and pray, God, give us our daily bread. Right? Actually, this need not be asked for bread is already provided by everyone. So here Prabhupada is speaking about the mentality that we have, that we go to a church or a temple and we play, give me this, give me that, like God is our order supplier. But basic necessities of life are already there, given by God, even without asking. Prabhupada gives the example, even the birds and the beasts get their bread, they get their food, without having to go to church to ask God for it. Little humorous, huh? Similarly, our bread is also provided, whether we go to church or not, right? So temple worship is not a place where we go and ask for our basic necessity. That is given by God if we follow God's laws. But temple or churches are a place where we go to actually understand higher subject matters about God, develop our relationship with God. That is not a problem. No one is dying in the streets of starvation, nor do we find a bird, a beast, or even an ant dying of starvation. Food is there, and no one need bother about it. If the brain should be taxed, if you have to use your brain, basically, it should be taxed for Krishna or God. This is proper utilization of time. There is no scarcity of bread in the kingdom of God. Now, hearing this, someone may say, no, but there's so much starvation in this world. There are many people who do not have food. And we do see sometimes, unfortunately, in some forests, animals do die of starvation, unfortunately, right? So what about that? So then Prabhupada answers this in the next paragraph. So Prabhupada quotes this verse. Tasyeva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada. Srimad Bhagavatam says that one should try to attain that which cannot be attained by traveling all over the universe. Tasyeva hetu prayateta kovido. The intelligent people, the kovidaha, will only make endeavor, prayateta, for that which is not available in these three worlds. You will get happiness, material happiness, sensory pleasure, food, kingdom, money, everything in this world. But what is not available in this world? Love of God. So endeavor for that which is not easily available in this world. That is the best. What is that? Kevalaya bhaktaya, pure devotion. By God's arrangement, there is sufficient food, land, and prospects for food on this planet. But we have arranged things in such a way that in one part of the world, people are suffering, and in another part, they are throwing grains in the ocean. This is the answer to the earlier section. Right? Someone says there are so much people starving. Actually, there's plenty of food. There's only mismanagement. Right? One country like India, if properly utilized, they can feed the entire world. Right? So much land is there all over the world. If countries just willing to share and trade, but we find one country they are struggling, and another country they have excess. They have to dump it into the ocean. The Vedas say, "Eko bahunam yo vidadati kāman." The Supreme Personality of Godhead is supplying food to many living entities. The difficulty in this material world is that we take more than we need and thus create our own problems. Nowadays, artificial consumerism, they create so much, and when the expiry date is done, they just waste it all. They dump it all, they destroy it all. So we create so much more than we actually need. Artificial things. All of us know that junk food are not going to nourish us. Junk food and all different kinds of stuff, they're not good for us. Still, why is it being made? Why is it being created in industries? Right? It's unnecessary. So much of raw ingredients, vegetables, which could be actually very much nourishable, that is taken, that is destroyed, break down, made into junk food, thrown, this and that. So problems are created by men, led by so-called politicians. According to nature's way or God's way, everything is complete. As the Upanishad says, Om Purnam Mada Purnam Midam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So God has created this world complete. The personality of Godhead, He is perfect, He is complete. And because all His emanations are coming from Him, such as this phenomenal world, this material world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. God is perfect, His creation is perfect, anything coming from Him is also perfect. Whatever is produced by the complete whole is also complete because He is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from Him, He still remains complete. So one, if expands into many, the one doesn't get destroyed. One creates more ones, and they are all perfect. They are all complete. This is the nature of God. God is complete. His creation is complete. His arrangements are complete. But we are creating disturbances. Real education is that which makes people Krishna conscious so that they will properly utilize the resources of the earth and stop creating disturbances. It is not possible to solve problems by passing resolutions in the United Nations. One must know the actual method of solving problems. So what is the actual root cause of problem? That people are not Krishna conscious. They're not following God's ways and creating so many artificial things and then struggling and suffering because of it. Sukadeva Goswami says that simply by pure devotional service, one can solve the problems of life. Who can do this? It is not possible for an ordinary man, but for those who are Vasudeva Parayana, devoted to Lord Krishna Vasudeva. Only those whose concern is to satisfy Krishna and who take pure unalloyed devotional service can solve the problems of life. Agam Dunvanti, as already explained, problems are created by sinful activities. Although there is enough food, everyone stocks more than is needed in order to make a profit or simply in order to hoard it all. Right? With so many warehouses are there, they just keep stocking and keeping, and by hoarding it, they inflate the prices and so much this kind of political and economical stuff. Prabhupada gives an example. In 1942 in India, there was an artificial famine created by people gathering money and stocking it unnecessarily. So this is Srila Prabhupada is talking about what is known commonly as the Bengal famine, 1943. Why does Prabhupada write 42? Because historians actually say that it began in 42, but its peak reached at 43, where around 3 million people died because of this famine. So it was during the midst of the World War II, and Japan was occupying, trying to almost come towards India, and British, who was controlling India at the time, they lost their hold in Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia and Indochina and different places. And as they were coming towards Rangoon, Myanmar, Burma, the British, they were very worried, with their position. So they started burning boats and burning areas, the connection between Myanmar, Burma towards India. They started, destroying so that the Japanese could not cross over. And they started hoarding food and supplying it to the British soldiers who were placed in many places. So much so that a lot of people started to die in Bengal. And when news came to the Prime Minister of Britain at that time, Winston Churchill, he just snubbed it off, saying that if the food problem is so bad, if starvation is happening, then why hasn't Gandhi died yet? He said it like that. So, right. So Prabhupada continues. Wealthy men collected rice, which was selling at 6 rupees a pound. And suddenly within a week, the price rose to 50 rupees a pound. So many people, historians, blame this 1943 Bengal famine due to some virus that came in the crops. But factually, that was also there, but there was also other, strategical, political, and economical reasons of why this happened. Instead of supplying food from other places in India, everything was dispersed. Consequently, no rice was available on the market and people went hungry. An American gentleman present at the time, Prabhupada was there, remarked, if people in our country were starving in this way, there will be a revolution, right? So many people are dying, yet people are just, they can't do anything about it. So this is actually in history, it's considered one of the biggest mismanagements by the British Raj, the British governance in India. That so much people died, 3 million people. The people in India, however, are so trained and so cultured that in spite of this artificial famine, they did not revolt, but preferred to die peacefully. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's part of our philosophy that we know that there are countless lifetimes. So if this lifetime is getting a little difficult, okay, reset. I don't know, maybe it's like that. But culturally, people are generally tolerant and accepting of the situation, dependent on God. For others, they may be very scary to think like this, but probably for those who are following Sanatana Dharma, because you understand that life is a long travel of various frames, right? Various different lifetimes, different bodies. That is the journey of the soul. Of course, this is only one instance, but it shows how problems are not created by God, but by man. In Germany, during the First World War, now after speaking about the Second World War, Prabhupada speaks about the First World War. The women went to church and prayed to God to send their husbands and sons and brothers back safely, the Nazi soldiers. But none of them came back. All of the women became atheists. They did not consider that God did not advocate the war and its problems. They went to him for a solution. When we create our own problems, we have to suffer the results. So we created the problem, we're going to God to solve our solution, to give us a solution. It is a fact, however, that the problems of one who takes to the shelter of Krishna God are solved. For this reason, if for none other, one should apply his devotional service to Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of God. So Prabhupada is saying that if we become Krishna conscious because we live a life following the orders of Lord, generally sin is not there. Sin inculcates suffering. So one who takes up to devotional life in general, although we don't aspire for it, it happens that one's problems and so-called difficulties go down. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. If one engages in devotional service to Vasudeva, he will receive the highest knowledge without delay. What is that highest knowledge? Janayati Ashu Vairagyam. The words Jnana Vairagyam refer to that knowledge by which one can be detached from material allurement. Jnana Vairagyam. The word Jnana means knowledge and Vairagya means detachment. Both knowledge and detachment are required in this human form of life. One should know, I am spirit soul, I have nothing to do with this material world, but because I have a desire to enjoy it in different ways, I am transmigrating from one body to another. I do not know when this began, but it's still going on. This is real knowledge, to understand this. To be knowledgeable, one must understand his constitutional position and realize how he is suffering in this material world. That perfection of knowledge comes when one becomes Vasudeva Parayana, devoted to Lord Vasudeva. The clear understanding of the reality of existence. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. We've seen this verse in many readings. After many, many lifetimes, one who surrenders unto me comes to understand. Understand what? That Krishna is everything. Such a person, such a great personality is very rare. Right? That's what he's saying. Those great souls who know perfectly well that Krishna, Vasudeva, is the source of everything are very rare. It is easy to find so-called Mahatmas with long beards and mustaches who tell everyone that they are one with God and that when they die, they will wake up and become God. But these are not really Mahatmas. Rather, they are duratma, hard-hearted, because they want to encroach on the rightful position of Krishna and become one with him. So Prabhupada explains this with an example. If there were a servant in the office who tried to occupy the position of the employer, would the employer like it? Similarly, any living entity who is trying to become God is not very much to God's liking. So this doesn't mean that God is jealous. This just means that they're trying to get an artificial position, which is not possible. So we have seen before how God is so kind that he wants to share his godliness with others. Okay. So of course, no one can become God, but this endeavor to become God or his competitor is not very pleasing to him. Persons who try are described in Bhagavad Gita as dvishata, envious. The Lord says, Tannaham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradaman shipami ajashrama shubhan asuresu eva yonishu. Envious, mischievous, the lowest of mankind, these do I ever put back in the ocean of material existence into various demoniac species. So one must not misunderstand the Lord by thinking that Lord is, power hungry, power crazy, or envious or jealous. Not like that. But the position of the jiva trying to occupy the position of God is not fitting the jiva. The jiva is not possible to become God. The jiva can become godly or God-like, in a sense, having the same qualities, but he cannot overtake or replace God. That's not possible. So God gives his opulence. We see in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha, one of the opulence is you get the same form as God. God gives you the same form, the same opulence, the same beauty. You can have it, no problem. Right? You will be in your own small capacity, but you have everything like the Supreme Lord. In this world, you don't find an employer who wants to share their car, share their office, or share their house, right? But here, God is such an employer that he shares. They are put into hellish conditions because they are envious of God's position. First, they try to occupy high positions in this material world. And when they are frustrated in this attempt, they think, now I shall occupy the position of God. Of course, this desire is also frustrated because no one can become God. God is God, and the living entity is the living entity. God is supreme and infinite. We are infinitesimal. Our position is to serve God, and when we act according to our position, we become happy. By imitating God, happiness cannot be obtained. Yasyaika nishvashita kalam matavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagat andanataha. There are innumerable universes, and within one breath of Mahavishnu, these universes are inhaled and dissolved within his body. How then can a living entity become God? God is not so cheap. Therefore, we must become advanced in knowledge and accept Vasudeva Krishna as the Supreme. There is no question of Krishna being a man. At no stage in his appearance on earth did he appear as an ordinary living entity. Even as a baby, he performed miraculous feats way beyond the abilities of ordinary living entity. One should not consider that when he is surrendering to Krishna, he is surrendering to an ordinary man. No, but to the Supreme Personality of God. Indeed, that is confirmed by all Vedic literatures. Agam Dunvanti. All reactions to sinful activities are cancelled when one surrenders to Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself advises personal surrender to him. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. Give up all varieties of religiousness and just surrender unto me. And in return, I shall protect you from all sinful reactions. Therefore, you have nothing to fear. Therefore, one who is a devotee, Vasudeva Parayana, and who simply engages in devotional service is immediately freed from all sinful activities. Devotional service to Krishna or Krishna consciousness can never be attained by any amount of speculation, but by the causeless mercy of a pure devotee of Krishna. What does this mean? It means that if a devotee approaches us and out of their own causeless mercy, they explain to us, teach us, connect us, enlighten us, right? How much on our own we cannot understand. It is a matchless gift bestowed by the Mahatma, or great soul, out of compassion for fallen living entities. It is said that by the grace of Krishna, one gets a guru or spiritual master, and by the grace of the spiritual master, one gets Krishna. This is like the gift of the sunrise. At night there is darkness, but in the morning, as soon as the sun rises, immediately millions of miles of darkness are removed. In the same way, if we try to make the sun of Krishna rise within our hearts, all of our problems will be solved. So, like this, we see in this chapter, how do we actually solve problems of life? Right? If we actually take shelter of Krishna, coming beyond so-called designations of being Indian, being American, being whatever, come and wherever pure knowledge is there, available, pure understanding, we don't have it. Wherever it's available, go for it, accept it, practice it. And in this way, problems and issues and all kinds of disparities in life, which are created by us only, will become solved. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.